That you can access the order paper through www.parliament.gov.zm. Those are live pictures from the chambers coming to you.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We want freedom's side, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by God's own hand. Let us all have people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry, dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise thee, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen. Honorable members, I have one announcement to make. The announcement is that, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that the Royal Hospital will hold a free cardiology health camp for members of Parliament and staff. The exercise aims at promoting heart health through prevention, early detection, and treatment to achieve better health outcomes. The camp will be held from Monday 18th to Friday 22nd March 2024 as follows. 1. Monday to Thursday, 09 hours to 16 hours, and Friday, 09 hours to 13 hours. The health camp will be held at the main reception area at Parliament main buildings. I thank you. I see there are so many indications for matters of urgent public importance, but in accordance with our established practice, we'll only pick 3. So those who want to talk, they will not be picked, who want to talk in advance. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for according the people of Kalabo a space to put across a matter of urgent public importance. The matter is directed to the Honorable Minister of Education.
You may proceed, Honorable Member. What's the matter of urgent public importance you want to raise?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I believe that the University of Zambia is the biggest contributor of the much needed labor force, the human capital in Zambia. It's one of the highest institutions and it is highly recognized. Now, Honorable Madam Speaker, there is a matter which is in public domain concerning the degrading of the degree from the University of Zambia. And I feel this affects the graduates of that institution, that their future might be in blink. And therefore, I request the Right Honorable Madam Speaker to give guidance whether the Honorable Minister can issue a word or two. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kalabo Central. Definitely the matter does not qualify to be admitted as a matter of urgent public importance. Please put in a question. I'm sure the Honorable Minister will be more than anxious to respond to that answer. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My matter of urgent public importance is directed at Her Honor the Vice President. Madam Speaker, I register my appreciation for the relief distribution program which is happening in my constituency. However, Your Honor the Vice President, the pace and modalities at which this program is being executed deserves much it requires a lot of attention from central government. Your Honor, the Vice President, I'll give you an example. In a village of 200 people, you would find that only 10 families benefit from the program which is currently running. This, Madam Vice President, has created more trouble than providing a solution to the problem that we are trying to cure. Madam Vice President, my question from the people of Chadiza is your government aware that this program that we have instituted, which we have referred to as a relief distribution program, that it hasn't achieved the much desired impact which it's supposed to do because of the modalities and methods that are being used? People of Chadiza are asking now, do you have any method that would ensure that the majority of people who are starving currently can benefit from the current program? Madam Speaker, I seek your serious indulgence on this matter.
Order, honorable members, whether or not it's of quality is me to determine. Honorable member for Chadiza, I like the passion at which you have raised your matter of urgent public importance. Unfortunately, it does not qualify to be considered as such. You might explore other ways of trying to bring that to the attention of Her Honor the Vice President. The honorable member for Kasenengwa. Oh, sorry, actually, now it's the independents. Honorable member for Chiengi. Although you were assisted by the honorable member from Pika, I would have disqualified you. You may proceed.
It's women are still being celebrated, Madam Speaker, and we need male folks' support. Madam Speaker, thank you so much for allowing me to stand on matters of urgent of public importance, and this is towards the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. Madam Speaker, I think the men and women of uniform deserve to be protected too. I rise on this very important matter of urgent public importance. Madam Speaker, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, a policeman was almost killed by a civilian in Kitwe, in Kamfisa area. Madam Speaker, it's a concern if policemen can be butchered in that manner. The next thing, even these ministers, especially Minister of Sport, will be beaten up by a civilian. So I think, Madam Speaker, it's very important that the Minister of Home Affairs to let the nation know the position of the government. We are not safe if the people are supposed to provide security for us are being beaten in that manner. I need your indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Chiengi. Since you have said so many things in relation to that matter, and the Honorable Minister is here, maybe he can just, I'm not admitting it as a matter of urgent public importance, but I would just like the Honorable Minister to react to whether or not he knows and to respond to the issues that we have raised. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to respond to the issue that has been raised by my honorable colleague, MP for Chiengi. Madam Speaker, I'm aware of the incident she's referring to. I would like to inform her that the assailant was arrested by Zambia police, and I tend to think that the due process of the law is being followed. However, Madam Speaker, I also want to tell the nation that it's extremely unfortunate that my officers can wear uniform and go to a drinking place and start having scuffles with members of the public. That shows a lot of indiscipline that is obtaining. We, as a responsible government, cannot allow such conduct. The due process of instituting investigations and if found wanting, the officer will be disciplined. We cannot tolerate indiscipline, madam. That incident took place at a bar, and the officer was wearing uniform. That is debasing the dignity of a uniformed officer. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. So with that, the matter is being handled. Due process is going to follow. Let's make progress. Notes of motion, Her Honor the Vice President.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the standing orders 26, 27, 51, and 80 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021 be suspended to enable the House to sit from 09 hours until business has been concluded on Friday, 15th March 2024.
The question is that Standing Orders 26, okay, let's get back to business. The question is that Standing Orders 26, 27, 51, and 80 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021 be suspended to enable the House to sit from 09 hours until business has been concluded on Friday, 15th March 2024, and also to omit the Vice President's question time from the order paper. Any debate? Her Honor the Vice President.
Madam Speaker, as the House is aware, Article 86, Sub-Article 1, as read together with Article 9, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution of Zambia, as well as Standing Order 20, Part 1 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021, requires the President of the Republic of Zambia to attend Parliament and report to the House on the progress made in the application of the national values and principles contained in Article 8 of the Constitution. In this regard, His Excellency, the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, is scheduled to attend and address the House and the nation at large tomorrow, Friday, 15th March 2024, starting at 09 hours. Madam Speaker, Standing Order 26 provides that a presiding officer shall suspend business for 20 minutes at 16:40 hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and at 10:40 hours on Fridays. In addition, Standing Order 27 provides for the procedure for automatic adjournment, while Standing Order 51 provides for the daily routine of business of the House, and Standing Order 80 provides for the Vice President's question time every Friday. Madam Speaker, in order for the President to deliver his address uninterrupted, it is necessary for the aforementioned standing orders to be suspended. It is for this reason that I move this motion. Madam Speaker, this is a procedural motion which is not controversial in any way. I therefore urge all honorable members to support it. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Any further debate? The honorable member for what? Oh, sorry. The Honorable Member for Kasenshi. Kasenshi. Katanshi, sorry.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's a Kantanshi constituency, and I know you pronounce it very nicely. I don't know what has happened today. But Madam Speaker, without wasting much of the time, Her Honor the Vice President has made it very clear. This is a non-controversial motion. As we prepare for the address tomorrow, I thought that from this side of the House, we could just, share some of the expectations under a few minutes of what we're anticipating the President to address. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, the President was here 6 months ago, and part of the State of the Nation address does include some of the issues that will be contained in his speech in relation to values and principles. But so much has changed in the last 6 months that will require a lot of content to the speech in as far as the solutions that the Zambian people will be looking forward to. So, Madam Speaker, we are urgently going to be expecting that the President will, not only the pronouncements that we have heard that he has made in various forums, but the speech will set the tone in as far as how we're expecting the solutions that will benefit the Zambian people going forward. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support this motion.
Thank you very much. As this is a procedural motion, Her Honor the Vice President winding up debate.
Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Honourable Member who has debated and all the others that have supported this motion. As I stated, Madam, it's non-controversial, and I must just say that is coming as the statement, in the statement I mentioned that this is to give progress that has been made in the area of national values and principles. So we will wait and hear the statement, and then we can debate. I totally appreciate every member. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I put the question. Honorable Member for Chiengi, you was walking while I had already stood up. Please, can we comply? Can we observe order and decorum? I put the question. The question is that standing orders 26, 27, 51, and 80 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021 be suspended to enable the House to sit from 09 hours until business has been concluded on Friday, 15th March 2024, and also to omit the Vice President's question time from the order paper. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. You have not reached the threshold for a division. You were just about 8 or thereabouts. Yeah, I can see we are really anxious for that debate after the President delivers his address. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Energy to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I wish to take this opportunity to update the nation on the current electricity situation in our country and to outline the measures being implemented to mitigate the impact of reduced electricity supply on the Zambian economy. Currently, the country's installed electricity generation capacity stands at 3,777 megawatts, with hydropower accounting for 85%. The current peak demand is estimated at 2,400 megawatts, while the current average generating stands at 2,200 megawatts. The planned load management has been caused mainly by the forecasted insufficient generation capacity due to reduced water levels in our major reservoirs, following below normal rainfall patterns experienced during the 2023 to 2024 season due to the El Nino drought phenomenon. This is also attributed to increased demand, which has been growing at about 150 to 200 megawatts per annum. The El Nino-induced drought has caused a significant impact on the region's rainfall pattern. Zambia, in particular, has experienced a severe decline in rainfall, with the Zambezi and Kafue River basins, which are the major water catchments for hydropower generation dams in Zambia, being significantly affected. Madam Speaker, the Kariba North Bank Power Plant depends on water from the Kariba Dam Lake Reservoir for its generation. For the year 2024, only 8 billion cubic meters of water has been allocated to Zambia compared to 15 billion cubic meters of water in the year 2023 for power generation. The decrease in allocation is due to the forecasted low rainfall pattern. This entails that the power plant can only generate up to 214 megawatts out of an installed generating capacity of 1,080 megawatts. Last year, same month, which is March, the water level was 2.43 meters above the minimum operating level, compared to only 2.08 meters above the minimum operating level for March this year. According to the data compiled by the Zambezi River Authority, the water levels in the reservoirs have been reducing, while last year the levels in the reservoir were on the increase. Additionally, there's been a marked reduction in the level of rainfall received on the Kafue River Basin in the 2023 to 2024 rain season. According to the data collected at various gauging points, water inflows have decreased by 50% compared to the 2022-2023 rain season. This has further led to a constrained generation from the cascaded power plants on the Kafue River Basin. That is 120 megawatts, Itezitezi hydropower plant, the 990 megawatt Kafue Gorge power station, and the 750 megawatts Kafue Gorge lower power station. It is worth noting that the forecasted reduction in the water levels due to El Nino drought, characterized by a reduction in the hydropower generation and the growing electricity demand, has resulted in a power deficit of about 700 megawatts. In implementing the load management program, ZESCO has been directed to consider the vital role played by strategic institutions such as health facilities, water utilities, industry and mining firms, and security wings. With this in mind, the load management program will endeavor to exempt strategic institutions where dedicated lines exist. This exemption ensures that sensitive and critical institutions can continue to provide essential services to our communities without disruption. In order to reduce rapid drawdown of the reservoir levels that could lead into longer hours of load shedding, ZESCO commenced load management on the 11th March 2024, whose schedules have since been made public. As a result of the load management, ZESCO will lose approximately $35 million this month. In recognition of this, the government has noted the need for a lasting solution that fosters the provision of affordable and sustainable energy services. In this regard, the following measures have been formulated. On short-term measures: A, importation of power. ZESCO is currently importing between 50 megawatts to 90 megawatts between 21 hours and 05 hours, and it is actively engaged in negotiations with Mozambique for an increase in the firm power imports for an additional 120 megawatts. B, withdrawal of power exports. ZESCO plans to gradually withdraw 120 megawatts from the export market, taking into consideration the current bilateral contracts. This plan is scheduled to run from last month, February 2024, to December 2024. However, it is worth noting that this plan will translate into a revenue loss of $110 million. ZESCO currently is receiving a revenue of $300 million from exports. C, restoring Dollar Energy Power Plant. Dollar Energy Power Plant has a capacity of 105 megawatts currently. ZESCO and Dollar Energy Company Limited are undertaking negotiations with a view to restarting the power plant. These negotiations are expected to be completed by April 2024, after which ZESCO will purchase 105 megawatts from May to December 2024. D, new solar power plants. The government, through ZESCO, is developing a 100 megawatt solar power plant in Kabwe. The project is underway with a scheduled duration of 10 months, aiming for completion and commissioning by the end of this year. On mini-grids, the government, through the Ministry of Energy, issued a statutory instrument number 41, which excluded mini-grids less than or equal to 250 kilowatts from regulation. The government, in collaboration with the Rockefeller Foundation, intends to develop 1,000 mini-grids countrywide starting this year. On medium-term projects, A, renewable energy expansions. 120 megawatts solar portfolio. Implementation of a 120 megawatt portfolio of solar PV power projects under the Global Energy Transfer Feed-in Tariff, commonly known as GET-FEED. Luapula Hydro Power Projects. Progress with the development of the 271 megawatt Luapula Hydro Power Projects is on the Luapula River. Lusiwasi Lower Hydro Power Project, development of the 86 megawatt Lusiwasi Lower Hydro Power Project. 2,000 megawatts solar project. ZESCO, in collaboration with Mazda, on a 2,000 megawatt solar project. This project is scheduled to commence with the initial 500 megawatts as soon as financial close is achieved. 247 megawatts Kalungwishi Hydropower Project. Government, through ZESCO, is in the process of engaging a strategic partner to develop the project. Lufubu Hydropower Project. The independent power producer is currently mobilizing funds to develop 163 megawatts in Northern Province. Western Power Company. The independent power producer is currently mobilizing funds to develop 180 megawatts in Western Province. Mamba Collieries Phase 2. Government and Mamba Collieries are currently negotiating the implementation of the project, which is likely to commence this year. Net metering. Net metering will be introduced, and it will allow residential and commercial customers who generate their own electricity to use for their own consumption, while allowing excess generated electricity to be fed into the grid. Currently, the net metering draft regulations have been developed by the Energy Regulation Board. The draft regulations have gone through necessary internal and external stakeholder consultations. Approval and promulgation of the statutory instrument will be done by April 2024. Madam Speaker, the intention of the new Dawn government, led by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, is to diversify the technology for power generation and the location of hydro power generation plants to areas that have a prolific rainfall regime, such as Northern and Wapula provinces. I can assure this August House that before the end of 2026, we will achieve this milestone and Zambia shall be energy secure. On long-term projects, the government completed the development of the first integrated resource plan aimed at providing a lasting solution to Zambia's challenges in the electricity sector. The IRP solution to Zambia's challenges in the electricity sector projects is a need for additional generation capacity of 6,500 megawatts by year 2026, requiring an estimated investment of $5 billion US. To meet long-term demand, the IRP forecast a total of 23,193 megawatts by year 2050, with a corresponding investment requirement of nearly $31 billion. The notable long-term projects that are currently on the pipeline are the development of the Batoka Gorge 2,400 megawatt project and the development of the 1,000 megawatt hydropower plants along the Wapula River. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, I wish to encourage consumers to consider transitioning to alternative energy sources such as gas stoves, solar water heaters, and the adoption of efficient energy equipment such as energy-efficient bulbs to reduce on power consumption. This shift is anticipated to contribute to a reduction in the energy deficit. My ministry remains committed to an energy-secure Zambia and will continue to closely monitor the situation and actively seeking additional interventions to address the projected deficit. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Energy. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, how I wish the load shedding could have been spread 4 hours at least, not 8 hours, but 8 hours can be spread across. My question, Minister, with the reduced rainfall pattern and the reduced power generation, is it possible that you can also engage the private sector that was developing the Kabompo mini hydro power station so that they can get back and begin to generate more power and also feed into the national grid, since we have this kind of shortfall? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before the Honorable Minister comes to answer that question, the Honorable Member for Lunte, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I raise this point of order on the Honorable Minister of Energy. Madam Speaker, Standing Order number 65 requires that the data which you submit is both verifiable and also believable. Madam Speaker, the Minister said ZESCO is going to lose $35 million at the end of this month because of load shedding. Madam Speaker, dollars are not kwacha. ZESCO charges Zambian people using kwacha. Madam Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, for you to convert your loss, you have to have a rate. We don't yet have a rate.
The honorable member, you can
end
put
of the
that
month.
in the form of a question. Doesn't qualify to be raised as a point of order.
Why?
Put it in a question, in a form of a question. Point of clarification.
Okay.
Not as a point of order.
Okay, let me come after my honorable colleague. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
May the Honorable Minister of Energy answer the question that was put by the Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, we are talking to almost all the developers who are planning to develop hydropower as well as solar power plants. However, I should mention to the Honorable Member of Solwezi East that hydropower plants take at least a minimum of 4 years to develop the plan. So what we are trying to do now is to scale up solar while we engage other developers who are interested in developing the hydropower plants. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Allow me to convey congratulatory messages to you, Madam Speaker, on your well-deserved achievement, as well as the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable J.J. Mwimbo. Honorable Minister, I need a clear assurance from you arising from what happened in Sinazongwe yesterday at Mamba General Hospital, where it was also load shedded for 8 hours. I need an assurance. The people of Sinazongwe need an assurance from you to say these health facilities will be exempted so that if anything happens, we know where to report, to take the matter to. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable. I had indicated in my ministerial statement that institutions like health centers are exempt. And if there was any load shedding in Sinazongwe, Mamba, as you put it, I'll be able to investigate the matter so that we can address whatever happens, and something will happen so that, all the residents of Mamba can be assured that that institution should not be touched. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, you stated in your ministerial statement that the load management timetable has been made public by the utility company, that is ZESCO. But in some cases, Madam Speaker, you would find that power goes instead of power to be restored after 8 hours. In some cases, you would find that it is more than 8 hours. And this is a very serious inconvenience to our people. Through your ministry, Minister, what is your ministry doing to make sure that load shedding only lasts for 8 hours, in some cases even less, and not more than 8 hours? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, it is regrettable that there is such a situation that needs to be investigated. However, you might find that when there is load shedding in that particular area, they could have identified also a fault which they would like to fix so that by the time the power gets back, everything will work properly. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the people of Kantanshi want to register their concern as well as disappointment because this ministerial statement should have come much earlier. Madam Speaker, the Minister indicated that 8 billion liters of water which Zambezi River Authority had authorized was already an indication that this problem was going to be coming in the future. Madam Speaker, at the same time, last year in January, we had a similar problem, and we saw how the economy got wrecked within a short space of time. And we are going to have this problem for a longer period of time. But my question to the Minister is, those interventions that you announced, solar, get field, and all that, these interventions were there in the past, but ZESCO always used to give problems to independent power producers to join the grid. I would like to find out from you why Ndola Energy is going to easily go back on the grid and start to give you power because you are now in a problem. I just want to understand how that is going to work. Because if you look at the books at the Ministry of Finance, the amounts of money independent power producers are being owed is a lot. But we could have done better as a country to prepare ourselves when these figures were being given to us. So I'd like you to explain to the nation why independent power producers are going to give you power when ZESCO all along, because it had sufficient power, was not giving them any opportunity to join the grid. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member of Kantanshi. Madam Speaker, we inherited legacy debt. This debt was accumulated due to unreasonable tariffs that was agreed between the previous government and the independent power producers. We had to renegotiate some of these rates so that we could be in a position to afford paying these tariffs. Madam Speaker, Ndola Energy is a typical example. The previous government negotiated a transaction, or can I say a contract, which was to give Ndola Energy free fuel to generate power so that ZESCO can buy the power. The tariffs that was agreed was in excess of 7 cents per kilowatt hour. When you add now that we have been forced to buy HF4, which is the fuel that is used in the generation of at Ndola Energy, the tariffs are coming over 20 cents per kilowatt hour. That is the most expensive power this country can afford to buy. ZESCO sells this power at 6 cents per kilowatt hour. So you can see the loss already to government. You buy at over 20 cents and then you sell at 6 cents. I don't know whether this makes economic sense or something beyond Zambia. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Madam Speaker, allow me first of all to thank you for the opportunity to ask the Minister of Energy a follow-up question. Minister, you do recall that in 2021, in the budget speech for the Minister of Finance, there was an announcement that cost-reflective tariffs will be introduced to attract investment. And because cost-reflective tariffs, Madam Speaker, have been introduced for the last 2 years, I would want to find out from the Minister responsible for energy how many private players have actually come on board to develop these power-producing equipment so that we can have more electricity in the grid, because that was really the basis for increasing tariffs. have we seen any new investment in the energy sector that we can actually point to and say that power plant is now running, that power plant is running, and people now are able to receive more electricity? Madam Speaker, that is my genuine and valid question. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the genuine question that you have asked. Madam Speaker, we have received tremendous response from would-be solar power producers and hydropower producers. Madam Speaker, a case in example is in Serenge. By next month or so, we will be able to see the construction of a 50 megawatt power plant, solar power plant to begin. CEC is developing additional solar energy power plants. So there's quite a number of companies that are getting to financial close, and we should be able to see this year quite a number of projects that will take off. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Kano.
Madam Speaker, it is very sad that amidst so many brains and solutions to such a problem, we still have to subject our people to 8 hours of darkness. I wonder what happened to solutions such as that of Honorable Gary Nkombo for the canal. I think the minister needs to sit with Honorable Gary because he has a solution. Madam Speaker and Honorable Minister of Energy, you have mentioned that people now need to go to alternative sources of energy, namely solar and powered sources. What has government done to make these alternative sources of power cheaper or affordable to the Zambian people? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, let me first talk about the brains that are available. Yes, there are a lot of good brains in this country. And the canal, if I may talk about the canal, this project has been on the drawing board for quite a while. And what we need to know is that you cannot drill or excavate a canal in 10 days' time. It needs feasibility studies, it needs geological studies, it needs topographical studies, and costing the project. We are looking at this project, and we should be able to come back to this House and give a statement as to whether it is possible that we can achieve this project. The Honourable Member of Nkana needs to understand the topography of Luapula River. It goes in a different direction away from where we want to tap the water to bring it into either Rufubu Dam in Dola or Kafue River. I submit, unless I've left out something that I needed to answer. Affordability. We've agreed on the tariffs that Zambians are supposed to pay. We had increased to make it more cost reflective. The agreed tariff was 17% increase. This percentage was graduated in 2.5% annually. So eventually we'll get to the cost reflective tariff by year number 5. I submit.
Order. Honorable Member Fonkana, you know the rules. Yes, but you can't discuss, you can't talk when you are seated. It's against our own standing orders. And pay attention to the answers. Honorable Member from Pambashe.
It is Pambashe, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the effect of El Nino
on the Zambian market was announced 3-4 years ago. And I remember His Excellency the President in his first address critically talking about Kalungwish, which is wholly owned by the Zambian government, a river that passes through Pambashe constituency. And Lunte Chienge, but all the water forces being spoken about largely were shareholders. Madam Speaker, the greatest concern of the people of Pambashe and the people of Zambia, it is March today. And basically you would anticipate that load shedding will be minimal, probably to be 3-4 hours. Now in March, Madam Speaker, if the minister says Zambians will be subjected to the long period of load shedding up to 8 hours, what will happen in October? I want the minister to give comfort and assurance to the Zambian people that come October this year, we will not see the prolonged load shedding probably in up to 24 hours, bearing in mind things that he has stated cannot take 6 months to be completed. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Honorable member, you say this Pambashe, and then in your own words again you say Pambashe. So me, I'm speaking in English, I'm saying Pambashe. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Chitotela. Honorable Chitotela is quite passionate about Kalungwishi. I wish to take this opportunity to inform Honorable Chitotela that this year we will see the start of the construction of the Kalungwishi, which is 247 megawatts. We are almost closing on some transaction that was hindering the development of this important project. So, Honorable Chitotela, rest be assured that this year you can even ask your relatives to apply for jobs at Kalungwishi so that we can, employ them. However, if we had 2 rain seasons, Madam Speaker, then I can assure the nation that by October there will be no load shedding. Currently, we've only got 1 rain season, which ends about now, and areas which receives rainfall that take water into the Zambezi and into the main rivers is inadequate to give enough energy to drive the turbines. However, we are importing power from Mozambique, and Mozambique is also struggling to give in the power that we require. That is why we are accelerating, ramping up the production of solar power projects. We hope that most of these contracts that will be signed very soon should be completed by October, the month he has mentioned, and we should be able to mitigate to some extent the power deficit. I submit.
Thank you. I'll add 10 minutes. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, in critical times like this, we need critical solutions that can actually change the lives of many Zambians. We really need to think outside the box so that we can meet the demand of the Zambian people's expectation. We have a Chunga dam site that keeps a lot of garbage. And I was thinking whether government can either consider to use that dam site or identify a private investor that can start generating power, or we use nuclear technology. I submit.
Before the Honorable Minister comes on, Honorable Member Fonkana, you wanted to raise a point of order. What's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, the questions posed to the Minister, they are meant for the consumption of ourselves and the public. And therefore, they're supposed to respond to questions we ask, not their own questions. I asked a question which is a question that a lot of the members of the public are asking as to the affordability of the alternative sources of energy, solar, genset, and the others. My question was very simple, Madam Speaker. What has government done to make these other alternative sources of energy affordable, either waiving duty or otherwise? That is the response I needed, not the tariffs that he went to answer to. So that's what the public is asking. Is it in order to answer a question that was not asked? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The only problem is, honorable members, when you start asking your questions, you start with opening remarks. Then the honorable minister will concentrate on those opening remarks and sometimes even skip your question. The honorable minister of energy, affordability, how have you made it possible for people? How affordable is the solar energy to the common man? What measures has the government taken? That's the question. Maybe you can address it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well guided, I'm sure I've missed the Member of Parliament from Ghana, who understand that you should not first debate the question so that you go straight to the question, and then the minister will be able to answer directly. Madam Speaker, we are looking at petrol, diesel for generators. Currently, the government of the Republic of Zambia does not procure any fuel products. However, we are in the process of looking at taxes that are applicable so that we can mitigate the cost of these products that use hydrocarbons, so that we can at least look at the cost again to see how we can make it more affordable by the Zambian people, because this is a prolonged crisis that we need to think clearly and without making more, can I say, burden on the treasury, so that we can come out of this crisis as a united country. Thank you.
I'm sure the honorable member wanted to know what measures you are taking to reduce the cost of solar, because the initial costs are very high. So how is the government going to make solar energy affordable to the common man? I think that was the question.
Madam Speaker, I had indicated that we'll be looking at the taxes that are available. And if my memory serves me right, there's very little taxes on solar products. So I don't have the actual figures now, but I can get back to this august house and give accurate information on how much it will cost to do a solar panel, lanterns, and all the solar products. I should be able to get back and give accurate figures on those. I submit.
Now the question by the honorable member for Kabwata concerning the DAP site and whether we can use nuclear energy to generate power. The honorable minister.
Madam Speaker, waste to energy is one of the projects that was initiated by Lusaka City Council. It is sad to note that there's been so much bureaucracy. This project has failed to take off the past 2 years. 2 or 3 companies have showed interest, but there seem to be some people dragging their feet to implement this project. I submit. On nuclear, we are talking to one of the Chinese companies who are willing to come and set up a small mini nuclear power plant that will be able to produce something like 250 megawatts to 500 megawatts. But this project takes long, Madam Speaker. It will take about 5 years to set up this nuclear power plant in the country. I submit.
Thank you. The honorable member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Energy. Minister of Energy, you have indicated that ZESCO will import between 50 to 90 megawatts of electricity to mitigate the current power crisis. Of course, this importation of power comes at a great cost to ZESCO and the nation at large. So I want to find out whether the importation of power from Mozambique will not lead to increase in electricity tariffs. I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Energy. Honorable members, can we be quiet? Let's follow the questions and let's listen to the answers. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Mtachalo. The 50 to 90 megawatts is not to be imported. It is what we are importing. That is what I indicated in my statement, that we are importing this off-peak. So this is going to go on for as long as Mozambique in a position to give us this power that we have requested for, as well as an additional 100 megawatts that we have requested for. So far, there's been no increase in the tariffs. That is why ZESCO is losing these colossal sums of money to keep the tariffs where they are at the moment. I submit.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
I appreciate Madam Speaker for allowing me to ask a follow-up question to the Honorable Minister of Energy. Honorable Minister, you have indicated the loss of business to ZESCO. If I quoted you correctly, you mentioned a figure of 35 million, which is just in 1 month. Now, if at all we go up to December, definitely that would translate into a huge amount of loss. Are we seeing any job losses at ZESCO in view of the imminent losses which the company is expected to incur? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, the losses being suffered by ZESCO is due to the importation of this power. And I don't see any job losses as a result of importation of this power, because we have calculated that this is part of the loss that the company is going to go through. It is very, very strenuous on ZESCO, but we should be able to hold our line and hopefully get into the new year, which might give us some relief so that we can start clawing back some profits. I submit.
Thank you very much. There is an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member for Pambashe, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the people of Pambashe are concerned when I raised the question on the minister. For purpose of planning, maybe you may not be in business. Those of us who are in business for agriculture and the rest, we need to plan. And my question was very clear, Madam Speaker. This March, we are experiencing up to 8 hours of load shedding. Give us comfort by October until we reach 12 hours so that we can begin adjusting and planning. And the minister hasn't answered that question. Very simple. Are we not going to experience by October increase in terms of the load shedding? He has not answered that question. I seek your serious guidance, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, we should desist from this habit of trying to challenge the Honorable Minister when we ask the question and then through a point of order that the Honorable Minister has not answered. If you are not, your question has not been answered, you have your colleagues there, you can push the note to the next person to ask the question on your behalf. That will be better than for us to be going back and forth. But anyway, we only have just 3 minutes and we'll be closing this segment. So the Honorable Member for Musazala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for the answers given to the Zambian people. Madam Speaker, the Minister, in his statement, he indicated to say he's going to he's going to do a gradual reduction in export of power. And I would like to find out to the minister, why haven't you done the same to the Zambian people by doing it gradual rather than reducing or imposing the 8 hours to Zambians? Then why haven't you done it gradually also by doing it maybe 2 hours or 3 hours than 8 hours? Because 8 hours is almost half a day or a day. Why can't you do the same with the Zambian people? Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a question of calculating the effect of a quick drawdown or a gradual drawdown. A gradual drawdown might give us stability so that by the time we get to October, somewhere there, we will be able to assess the situation and see if we can do further reduction or even reduce on the load shedding. We are trying to bank a bit of more water this time so that as we get to October, somewhere there, we could have enough maybe to bring down the load shedding to maybe 6 hours. That is our plan. We want to work smart. This is the new Dawn government. I submit.
So I think that also takes care of the question by the Honorable Member for Pambashu. The Honorable Member for Mbabala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for giving the good people of Mbabala an opportunity to ask a follow-up question on our energy situation as a result of the drought. Madam Speaker, of course, the people of Mbabala would appreciate reduction or removal of duty related to solar equipment and related applications that will help us to extract water, especially water tanks and the like, that will help us to run our homes. But my question to the Honourable Minister is on the issue of small electric power systems. A few years ago, I spoke about Mark 4D Mono, a young man in my constituency, in the Muyanda area of Smawi Ward, who had invented a power system to power a number of houses using the biomass system. He was powering a number of houses, but I think processes were begun with the Home Minister of Technology, but that didn't materialize fully. What is government doing now that we have got an energy crisis to encourage and support such innovations from young people to be able to produce power and help our communities to have cooking energy and lighting energy in our villages, like Mark 4D. And I wish to submit Mark 4D to you, Honourable Minister, that your ministry takes interest and helps them to commercialize his projects so that he can help a lot of our communities, and they will not need to be on the energy grid, but they will be supported from his innovation and many others. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Before the Honorable Minister comes to answer the question, the Honorable Member for Shiwangandu had indicated for a point of order. What's the point of order?
Precisely, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on a point of order pursuant to Standing Order 65. Madam Speaker, if I was in his village, I would have started by saying, Chaona mzako chapita, mawa chilipaigo. Simply meaning, Madam Speaker, what goes round comes round. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister was in this August House, then at the ministerial statement, just as he did. And during our follow-up questions, I started by advising him, and first of all, I want to acknowledge, Madam Speaker, that indeed when we were in government, we did import expensive power from Mozambique, which was being imported at 14 cents per kilowatt, and supplied to our people even at as low as 7 cents, because government, Madam Speaker, is not a commercial going concern. Sometimes you have to make those decisions. I had advised my dear honorable colleague.
Order, honorable member for Shuangand. What's the point of order?
The point of order,
You're
Madam
debating.
Speaker, is that at that point, I advised the honorable member that the SADC power pool was highly dependent on 3 utility companies: ESCOM, ZESCO here, and our power supply from Zimbabwe. And I was saying to him that, because he had stated categorically here that he was never going to consider the option of importing power from Mozambique because it was not logical. Is in order to come back to this August House, yes, Madam Speaker, without retracting that statement he made to this August House and to the nation, and comfortably now inform us that he's going back to the same Mozambique to import power to cushion our supply, which is constrained. We are an accountability institution, Madam Speaker, and our role is to offer oversight functions on our colleagues. Is in order to ignore withdrawing that initial statement he made on the floor of this August House. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Since the honorable minister is here, maybe he can just give us.
Madam Speaker, it is very sad for a former cabinet minister to come and tell us that they were importing power from Mozambique at 14 cents per kilowatt hour. And it was not from Mozambique. It's from a ship on the Indian Ocean. And it was beyond 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Madam Speaker, this same debt is still a legacy debt that we need to settle. So it is not right. I was searching for the right word to use, Madam Speaker. It is not right for someone to come back to this house and feed the house with inaccurate information. We are buying electricity way below 10 cents per kilowatt hour. I submit. We are buying this power from EDM Mozambique and not from the Kapua ship that was anchored off Beira. I submit.
I think, honorable members, now it's like we are doing Vizamveka. So it's not good. Let's not disclose old things. Let's live in harmony with each other. Honorable member, I'm still on the floor. Let's make sure that we concentrate on the issues that are on the floor of the House to ensure that we debate in harmony and respect each other. And the Honorable Minister was to answer the question from the Honorable Member from Babal. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member from Mbabala. Yes, we're encouraging innovation in this country. And as they say it in Bemba, Tafimbwa Lubilo, meaning any project of mass, at a larger scale, would take 2 to 3 years to actualize, especially in the development of a biomass project. The minimum I could see would be about 12 months because there's lead time in the equipment importation and other related activities surrounding the development of this project. Submit.
I think with that, I can see a lot of members have indicated, but please do engage the Honorable Minister. If you have any suggestions, proposals that can take us out of this issue, this problem that we have, it will be very helpful. So let's make progress. I think we are now going round and round. Questions for oral answer, understanding order 74. The Honorable Member for Kafulafuta.
The privilege is for the people of Kafulafuta, Madam Speaker. First of all, to congratulate you and Honorable Jack Mwimbu for attaining the status of State Council in our legal system. Question number 3 or 5, Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I answer the question, kindly permit me, albeit now in parrot fashion and at the risk of sounding like a broken record, to join the many of my honorable colleagues on both sides of the aisle in congratulating you, Madam Speaker, on this well-deserved conferment of State Council, which comes after many, many illustrious years as an officer of the law and also now as the first female speaker of this great assembly. Madam Speaker, it is truly a well-deserved recognition. Coming back to the question, in response to the question raised by the honourable member, Madam Speaker, Mr. Mulambwa, to ask the Minister of Transport and Logistics, Mulembwa, what measures the government intends to implement to address the escalating road traffic crashes reported to be 9,888 as of third quarter of 2023 countrywide, and in B, what the major causes of the accidents are. In response to the question raised by an honourable member of Parliament for Kafulafuta constituency, I wish to inform this August House as follows. A, government through the Road Transport and Safety Agency is implementing various measures to address the escalating road traffic accidents in the country. Among the immediate strategies being implemented to curb this scourge include: 1. Scaling up road traffic law enforcement through combined joint motorized road patrols between RATSA and the Zambia Police Service. 2. Scaling up the use of ICTs in traffic law enforcement, which includes, but not limited to, the implementation of automated speed enforcement utilizing both fixed and mobile cameras. In 2023, the agency procured a number of smart speed enforcement cameras to enhance road safety enforcement. And in part 2, the use of global position system on public service vehicles, which has seen a reduction in speed violations on PSV buses. Number 3, Madam Speaker, the agency is in the process of appointing honorary traffic inspectors to enhance enforcement efforts. And in part 4, scaling up road safety education and publicity in order to promote good road user behavior using various media platforms. Madam Speaker, in the long term, the government will implement the following measures to help reduce road traffic accidents. 1. Promote the construction of safe roads that take into consideration all road users, including pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. And in part 2, government will consider procuring more enforcement equipment to increase surveillance on the roads. In answer to part B of the question, Madam Speaker, the major causes of the accidents include, but may not be limited to: 1. Human error and bad road user behavior, overspeeding, misjudging of clearance distance, failure to keep to the near side, cutting in and failure to obey traffic signals are major causes of road traffic accidents. And in part 2, poor state of most highway roads, which are associated with high traffic volumes and record the highest number of road traffic crashes. This is especially so for the Ndola-Lusaka road that accounts for nearly 60% of all road traffic accidents. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Kafulafuta.
Thank you very
Point
much,
of order.
Madam Speaker, and I wish to thank the Minister for that well elaborated response. Honorable Speaker, it seems that most of us have experienced this on the road. It seems that most of our drivers don't understand the road rules, which eventually cause these traffic accidents. What is the ministry doing to ensure that we have people who are properly qualified on the road? I thank you.
Thank you. Before the Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics comes to answer that question, then there is an indication for a point of order from the Honorable Minister of Information and Media. What's the point of order, Honorable Minister?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the occasion to raise this point of order. And as you know me, I rarely raise on points of order unless the circumstances are extremely compelling. Madam Speaker, I raise a point of order predicated upon the practice, precedents, and traditions of this House and the Commonwealth, and also in terms of Standing Order 207 of our standing orders to do with contempt of the House. Madam Speaker, on or about the 13th of March 2024, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Nkana constituency, Honourable Binwe Mpondo, did shoot a video or caused to be shot a video of himself, wherein he made startling statements to the nation, in part imputing on the decorum and respect of this House, in which, Madam Speaker, he contended that the Government Republic of Zambia intends to promulgate legislation to regulate or legislate social media, knowing very well that that was not truthful and factual, but that it was misleading to himself and to the nation and the world at large. But the materiality for which I am concerned, Madam Speaker, is where the Honourable Member of Parliament called on the citizens of this country to come up and oppose this government from promulgating this piece of legislation of legislating utilization or usage of social media, because, in his words, and I quote, this will pass in Parliament as law because the majority of MPs are jokers. The majority, Madam Speaker, mean literally the majority. And the members of Parliament include the Speaker, the first Speaker, and the second Speaker, who are being imputed in this consignment of the majority of members of Parliament of the whole House as being jokers, including me, imagine. including State Council, Jackie Mwini. Madam Speaker, this particular statement has gone viral. And this whole house has been rendered a laughingstock by the citizens at large and all human beings, the whole world, who have come across this particular statement. Madam Speaker, is the honorable member of Parliament for Nkana in order, in terms of section Standing Order 207 and other relevant practices of the Commonwealth, that you should describe the majority of members of Parliament of this House, as honorable as they are, to be jokers. Madam Speaker, I need a serious ruling. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Clearly, that event happened on the 13th of March. It didn't happen on the floor of the House. So the best way to proceed with that is to put in a complaint, and then it will be sufficiently dealt with by the relevant committee, because it does not qualify to be raised now on the floor of the House as a point of order. So please, Honorable Minister, put in a letter of complaint so that those issues that you have raised, which I think are important, without going into the issues that you have raised, but please, a letter of complaint would suffice. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, now if you still remember the question from the Honorable Member for Kafulafuta.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, I think that the question that the Honourable Member for Kafulafuta poses as a follow-up question constitutes what we have constantly referred to as bad driver behavior. And I would like to agree with the Honourable Member that that is the major cause of accidents in this country, insofar as our investigations have revealed. It is for this reason that very recently, the Honourable Member will recall that I did launch, after very close consultation with stakeholders, particularly operators of passenger as well as freight transporting companies, a system that we're calling a fleet management system, which will look at not only the way we should maintain, especially PSV buses, in terms of the state of their roadworthiness, but also to look into how we must manage our drivers with the huge responsibility that they carry of moving our people from one point to another. Indeed, this is why, if you followed, I did add that this compliance system that we've introduced will be a precondition to the operators that would like to participate in the 24/7 operation system as we prepare to get rid of the night ban. When we lift the night ban, it shall not be a blanket lifting where everybody will participate. Only those that will work with RATSA in this fleet management system and whose drivers will undergo some kind of defensive driver training will be allowed to drive beyond the current stipulated hours. So we would like to, first of all, appreciate, obviously, the cooperation of the stakeholders and look forward that we shall work together in changing this very, very bad attitude on the roads. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Chienge.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, we have a challenge in our country. If you look at driver instruction book, it's not well written. However, I must agree with Honorable from Kaflafta. There's so much of misbehaving by drivers on the road, and some of us have lost close relatives. Madam Speaker, I want to find out if the government, UPND government, can help the nation by coming up with certain laws. Like in some countries, you find that if you make the first offense, there are points that are deducted from your driver's license. Third, up to fifth maybe, then you will never drive on any of the roads in that country. If you look at the trucks that are coming from our neighbors here, Tanzania, if you drive on the Great North Road, you agree with me, they misbehave. So I would like to find out the method, if, the law that maybe you can bring to the House or a bill in order for the Zambian drivers and those who pass through our country to know that once they are recorded as offender, for international drivers, they will have their own, and then for locals, then they know that they're likely to lose their driver's licenses. I think that's what I want to ask from the Minister of Transport and Communication. Transport. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. In agreeing with the Honourable Member on what she refers to as best practices in some of the advanced countries, it is important as lawmakers in this August House that we equally follow the many pronouncements that since taking over as an administration we have made, particularly through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics. Because what you refer to is already in place in our country, the point system, where we're looking at driver behavior and the penalties that are meted against some of these very obvious erring drivers. We have started that system, it's already in place, and suffice to say that there are very many laws that exist in this country, and what perhaps has been lacking in the past is the seriousness on the part of administrations in enforcement of laws. As an example, you will not believe it, Madam Speaker, that since we took over, we found that Lusaka, this very huge province, only had 3 patrol motor vehicles for this very noble core responsibility of road enforcement by RATSA. Ndola, Madam Speaker, had only 1 patrol motor vehicle. This goes to show the lack of seriousness that those that were there before us attached to this responsibility of trying to ensure that we improve our road safety profile. What have we done, Madam Speaker? Since taking over, we realized that a number of officers, members of staff in RATSA, most of whom were not entitled to personal to order motor vehicles, Madam Speaker, were busy driving institution motor vehicles when the institution itself had no patrol motor vehicles. Just from that exercise, we were able to withdraw 27 motor vehicles which we are dedicating to this enforcement program. This will see literally an increase in the number of patrol motor vehicles across the country. From 3 in Lusaka, we now have 9. From 1 in Ndola, we're jumping to 3. Just like Kito had 1, they will have 3. This is just part of the effort that we are making to see to it that RATSA's responsibility of enforcement of road traffic rules and regulations must not only be pronounced but must be seen to be enforcing that particular aspect. We have also plans that within the next month or 2, there are going to be an additional 10 motor vehicles that will be dedicated to enforcement of road traffic rules and regulations. This is the seriousness with which we attach to how much we want to save the lives of our fellow citizens. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kafulafuta, do you have any more questions?
I do, Madam Speaker. I wish to find out from the Minister if we have any system as a government to track down the drivers that would be the road traffic offenders in terms of knowing where they live, because it has been evident lately that once a driver commits that offense, they run away. Do we have any system that would help us track down such drivers? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member for another follow-up question. Just to say that obviously the issue that you raise may perhaps now even go beyond the mandate of Transport and Logistics, but that working together with counterpart Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, yes, in this country we do have that capability through the Safe City project that would be able to track down such erring drivers. As far as RATSA is concerned, like I earlier stated in my statement, in my answers response to your question, I did say that especially of keen interest are the PSV motor vehicles that we monitor through GPS, and that those speed violations were able to pick up and pinpoint exactly which motor vehicle was involved, and that through that would obviously find the erring driver. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
I appreciate once again, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given. Honorable Minister, there is no doubt that among the major causes of road accidents in Zambia, one of them is the poor road network in the country. You have given those statistics at 60% of road accidents which are occurring specifically for between Kitwe, Ndola and Lusaka. Could you be in a position, Honorable Minister, to inform the August House as to when exactly the road works along this stretch would be able to commence? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thanks to the Honourable Member for Kwacha for that follow-up question. On this one, let me just say that, first of all, we did make it as a matter of priority through the Council of Ministers in the Public-Private Partnership Council of Ministers to ensure that the Lusaka and Ndola Road was one of those that was dealt with insofar as, upgrading to a dual carriage status is concerned. That was already signed, and that as part of the condition for progressing to eventually do the road, we also needed to make the current road put the current road in a motorable state. It had a lot of bad patches, which have since been worked on, and that we've almost achieved financial closure, and that we are not far from the actual works commencing, in essence, where the Greenfield Road will be constructed. So I think that should happen very, very soon indeed. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
I've seen so much interest, but we need to make progress. Those who would want to engage the Honorable Minister can engage him, so let's make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Kapocha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 306.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Mr. Lungu, Member of Parliament for Kapoche, is asking the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts the following questions. In A, whether the government has any plans to construct a recreation center in Kapoche parliamentary constituency. In B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And in C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Kapoche may wish to note that the Minister of Sport, Youth and Arts has indeed no plans for now to construct a recreation center in Kapoche parliamentary constituency. And in B, obviously, Madam Speaker, we don't have such plans. And why? We are now concentrating on rehabilitating Heroes Stadium and Mwanawasa Stadium. And also some sports facilities in the provincial centers. Madam Speaker, I wish to state that my fellow honorable member may utilize, obviously, part of some CDF so that we are helped. And I think I've been talking about this to see how members of parliament can also tap into CDF. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. Honorable Member for Kapoche, do you have any?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you for your responses. Indeed, we are aware that the government has got no funds. And the much talked about CDF, like yesterday I was on the floor again, I was saying, we appreciate about the CDF, but the challenges are just too numerous. Maybe I would just say that the youth of Kapoche, they are very vibrant and they are very much willing to contribute to the sports of the nation. Maybe in future, they can be one of the players that can contribute to bring the Africa Cup to our beautiful country called Zambia. Do you have any alternative measure that you can put across, since the government has got no funds, like looking for funds to other cooperating partners, so such that in future our youth in Kapoche can be availed this recreation center? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member, for that elaborate contribution and in part B, a question. Madam Speaker, first I want to state that we are very thankful as government, especially that our colleagues from Eastern Province have really contributed to the development of sport by producing very talented boys and girls to national teams. It was just yesterday when Maya Piri was winning the bronze at the Africa Games. That really tells you a story that Eastern Province have really produced. Barbara Banda, the expensive players at the world stage. So obviously, we are really appreciative of the commitment that is being shown in that particular area. Madam Speaker, I don't want to commit myself to looking for cooperating partners. But I think in our strategic plan, we do have one or two sports facilities that we may construct as government. But I will not commit myself for now. It's something that we can sit down and have a chat with honorable member. Otherwise, honorable member, we don't have any plans for now to start looking for the cooperating partners who may help. But as I said earlier, Madam Speaker, that it's high time that the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts also benefits from that government funding of CDF, especially that other sectors have really benefited from the CDF. So I want also to implore members of parliament to also help this ministry by putting up sports infrastructure in all these constituencies. It's a pity, Madam Speaker, that today we are talking about recreation centers, and yet we add them. We had play parks. We had a lot of infrastructure when it came to sport. But unfortunately, others sold them to churches, sold them to any, and today we are now crying over something that we wouldn't have been crying about. But otherwise, this government will be able to look at it in a very holistic manner. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Kapoche, do you have another question? The Honorable Minister has invited you to engage.
Madam Speaker, it's not really a question, it's just maybe I just want to recommend the Minister for asking me to visit his office, which I'll do. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, then we can make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Namwala.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. Through you to the Minister, question number 307.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Namwala, Honorable Mapani, is asking the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development the following questions. A, whether the government has any plans to construct an embankment between Namwala Town and Kafue River in Namwala District to prevent flooding. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, what the estimate cost of the project is. And D, if there are no such plans, why? The answers are as follows. To question A, government has plans to construct an embankment to prevent flooding off the road section between Namwala Town and the Kafue River in Namwala District. B, the plans for the proposed intervention will be executed once the required funds have been secured. C, the estimated cost of the project is 1,253,184 kwacha 56 ngwe. D, government has plans as indicated at A above. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? I see none. So we can make progress. Thank you. The next question, the Honorable Member for Kalabo. Honorable Member for Kalabo, going once, going twice, gone. The question lapses on account of the Honorable Member for Kalabo not being in the House. We go to the next question, the Honorable Member for Feira.
Almost elapsing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Question 309. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Itembo asked the Minister of Agriculture how much land countrywide in percentage terms was being utilized for agriculture purposes as of June 2023, And B, what tonnage of maize produced by small-scale farmers countrywide from 2018 to 2022 year by year? And finally, C, what the contribution of agricultural produce to gross domestic product was as of August 2023. Madam Speaker, our responses are as follows. Zambia covers 75 million hectares of land, which is 752,000 square kilometers, rounded off, out of which 58%, which is 42 million hectares, is classified as medium to high potential for agricultural production. However, Madam Speaker, only 16.6% of arable land was being used for agricultural purposes as of June 2023, which is roughly 7 million hectares. This is according to the crop forecasting survey, which was conducted by the Ministry of Agriculture and Zambia Statistical Agency in March to April of 2023. And for B, Madam Speaker, the tonnage of maize produced by small-scale farmers countrywide from 2018 to 2022 is as follows. I will provide a table, Madam Speaker, which first column will be the period, second column will be total production, third column will be contribution by small-scale farmers, and the last column will be percentage of what small-scale farmers will give. So number one, 2016 to 2017, 3.6 million. I'll round them off, Madam Speaker, considering that I will hand over this answer sheet. 3.3 million in terms of production. And contribution by small-scale farmer, 3.4 million, representing, Madam Speaker, 93%. In 2017-2018 period, total production was 2.4 million, of which, Madam Speaker, 2.3 million was contribution by small-scale farmers, representing a good 95%. In 2018-2019, Madam Speaker, total production was about 2 million, of which 1.9 million was from small-scale farmers, representing 94%. 2019-2020, Madam Speaker, the production was 3.4 million, of which 3.2 million was contribution by small-scale farmers, representing 93%. 2020-2021, Madam Speaker, production was 3.6 million. Contribution by small-scale farmers, 3.1 million, representing 86%. 2021-2022, Madam Speaker, production was 2.7 million, of which 2.6 million was from small-scale farmers, representing 96%. Finally, Madam Speaker, in 2022-2023 season, which is the last season, it was 3.3 million, of which 3.1 million was from small-scale farmers, representing another 96%. In total, Madam Speaker, if you gross these figures up, our total production for the period 2016-2017 to date has been 21 million, of which 20 million has been from small-scale farmers, literally representing 93%. Madam Speaker, the last part of the question, contribution of agricultural produce to the gross domestic product as of August 2023 is 3.4%, according to Zambia Statistical Agency 22 report, which is the current report in circulation. The 2023 report is yet to be released. Madam Speaker, contribution to agriculture to GDP from 2013 to 2023 has been as follows. From 2013, 8.2%, 2014, 6.8%, 2015, 5%, 2016, 6.2%, 2017, 4%, 2018, 3.3%, 2019, 2.9%, 2020, 2.7%. And as from 2021, things start changing, going up again, 3% in 2021, 3.1% in 2022, and a good 3.4% in 2023. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for your very elaborate answer. Madam Speaker, the just given by the minister are quite interesting to take note of, and I think that they should ring a bell to each one of them. Firstly, the only land that is being used is 16.6%, which is very low, but also we take note of the fact that the small-scale farmers have actually been doing a good job. And more time than not, they're actually the ones not considered. Now, my question is, looking at the need for this country to move from our current economic doldrums and using agriculture with the arable land and the willingness of the small-scale farmers, and I'm aware that apart from the 1 million plus, we could go to up to perhaps 3 million. What would be your response in view of, maximizing the agricultural potential using the small-scale farmers? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, I thank you, and I would honestly thank the member for that very important question, which I think we have a lot to learn from. Number one, the small-scale farmers are seen to contribute to that level despite their very low productivity of less than 2%, 2 tons per hectare in terms of maize, because we discouraged the commercial farmers from producing more. I am happy, Madam Speaker, to let the House and the country know that in a long time we have managed to bring back the commercial farmers who are producing maize now and are producing at very high levels of productivity, meaning tonnage per hectare. I'll give an example. Not long ago, the President went to witness the harvesting of wheat by Mpongwe, who immediately planted maize. Next week also, the President might be going now to go and officially signal the harvesting of the new crop from commercial farmers, which maize, you will notice, will not be less than 5, 6 tons. It will be probably 9 to 10 tons per hectare. That is number one. Number two, Madam Speaker, and most important and relevant to the question the member asked, the Sustainable Agriculture Financing Facility, commonly referred to as the credit window, is now going to add 4 products to the maize and fertilizer. And what are these products? Number one, irrigation facilities. Number two, farm power facilities. Number three, we are going to add livestock. And number 4, aquaculture. So those doing fishing, fisheries and products, they are now welcome to apply on the credit window. Those who are going to be keeping goats, sheep, cattle at small scale level, they are now welcome on the credit window. Most important, those who would like to buy farm power, animals and plow, including small tractors. When I say small tractors, even up to 45 horsepower, they are now welcome. We are making sure that they can get that facility. But of course, the song which we are all singing, irrigation facilities, are now going to be given to the small-scale farmers. The guns, sprinkler guns, which can splash water up to 25 to 30 meters radius, are now going to be made available. Small center pivots, which have been developed by the industrial companies in Zambia like Saro, which can sprinkle around this house, are now going to be given. Very cheap prices, Madam Speaker. That equipment to sprinkle this hole will be going at about 160. When you add other issues, about 320. When you add the tank, the solar panels, etc. Madam Speaker, we aim to change the agriculture sector for the small-scale farmers for the better. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, I totally agree with you when you were actually giving the statistics. The land that is being used for agriculture, which is supposed to be used for agriculture, is almost 75 million. hectares, but only 7%, only 7 million is what is being used. And if you look at most of these farmers that are actually tilling this land, most of them are either above 40 years or so. The young generation or the youthful generation, they're not into agriculture. Most of them, they're actually running away from the use of the old system or the old ways of doing agriculture. What is it that the ministry is doing to encourage the youthful age to venture into agriculture so that we can start using more land in Zambia for agriculture?
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I wish to thank Honorable Taengwa for that question. Madam Speaker, if my colleagues have been very observant, I've been very close to the Minister of Youth and Sport. Most of the events that he has, I am with him. It is not because he's a personal friend, but because of the ministry he runs. The same with the small scale. Madam Speaker, it is true that we need to encourage the youths into the agricultural sector. It is our responsibility, Honorable Member for Isoka, Honorable Member for Honorable Katambo, Feira, all of us, Chiengi, we need to encourage the youths, especially, Honorable Members, especially when now we are giving farm power loans and we are giving irrigation loans. The problem, Honorable Taenga, with agriculture in our country is that we have allowed what is called drudgery, hard work of human whole agriculture, which takes us nowhere. Honorable Jack Mwimbu doesn't use the hoe, he uses animals. Most of the members from Southern Province use animals and tractors. And there you find that the right age group is involved. So we need, yeah, he's even saying he uses a helicopter now. We are grateful. We need to encourage our members. All of us, Madam Speaker, in this House should encourage the youth to get involved. The way you have encouraged, Madam Speaker, at your farm, I saw who were at your farm, young ones in the Western Province. We went to Madam Speaker's farm. That is what we need. So I'm appealing to Honorable Sylvia Maseo. I'm appealing to Honorable Sylvia Maseo. Princess here. Yeah, she's saying for what? Yes, I'm appealing you need to encourage the young ones to get involved in agriculture. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. We don't know when we can start benefiting from those irrigation equipment, because we want to plant winter maize. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Very quick, Chama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, my concern is to do with the land that is available for agriculture, Madam Speaker. We're having a lot of what we call land segmentation, meaning agricultural land being cut into smaller pieces, which if not controlled, in the long term, it will affect productivity. Are you considering certain areas establishing land ceilings, especially high productive areas like Mukushi, Serenge, parts of northwestern and western provinces, including eastern province, where you put a ceiling that no land in this area can be subdivided to this extent, so that we protect productive areas of our country? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful to Honorable for that issue. Yes, Honorable Mngando, it is true that a lot of our land, which was meant for agriculture, is now being used for wrong purposes. I'll take an example of Chama. Kapiringiza rice scheme. I used to support that rice scheme about 15, 20 years ago. But now if you go there, you will find that probably we have got encroachments. People would like to build houses there. And that is why, Madam Speaker, may I use this to caution a lot of us who have got huge portions of land, especially in farm blocks. We are asking the President to undo those title deeds because the land is being just kept like that, and instead of agriculture, the land is being used for wrong purposes. This is the reason, Madam Speaker, why your current government has not released any land to anyone, because we want to make sure that we give land to people who farm it. There are tracts of land, Madam Speaker, 15,000, 20,000 hectares given to honorable members, when I say of society, not honorable members of this House, of society, but are not utilizing this land. We are repossessing that land legally through the President. So if you have got that type of land, use it, otherwise you are losing it very soon. There are a lot of schemes which have now been turned into dwelling areas, which is extremely sad. I was told to compile a list, and I did just that. Resettlement, former farming schemes, etc., everything is being audited so that we can find land for good use. Now, your question was, are you putting a ceiling? I'll give you a very good yes. For example, on the farming blocks, the President told me, you, Minister, you come here with someone who wants to get more than 10,000 hectares, you will not get my signature at all. You have to really give me reason why I should give that type of land. So we are encouraging members. I have spoken to a lot of members here to apply for land in the farming schemes. It's not a hidden fact, but I guide them. I guide them. Yes, including Honorable Kasuna. I've told everybody. I've guided them. Don't overrate the piece of land you want to have. A lot of people sometimes don't have an idea what 1,000 hectares is. People are applying for 3,000, 5,000 hectares. What can I do with 5,000 hectares? It's almost difficult up until I raise my farming capacity to levels which can absorb that type of land. So yes, there are ceilings which we are going to look at, and no one will be given excessive land because we want land to be used for the right purposes. Very important question, Madam Speaker, and I thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have made a very good statement before this August House. What you have added, what you are intending to do. Now I wanted to find out, when are we coming to your office or wherever you are going to place to say, we can come now and get tractors, or if I want a tractor, our irrigation system, what period? Do you have the money so that we can come to your office? Is it this year or next year? So that the people of Zambia are aware. Guide us. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, I had a question. Madam Speaker, we started the credit window last season, and we have given out funds on the credit window. For your information, we have dealt with almost 10,000 farmers on the credit window, which we started very late. We refused not to start. We said we wanted to learn. So this is a continuation. On a light note, Madam Speaker, him doesn't know how to farm. I will not give him land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was actually wondering, he's very smart, so whether he can go in the field like we do, I don't know. As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Thank you for still watching Parliament Television. The House has taken a 20-minute health break, and at the time business was suspended, the House was considering question number 309, which was posed by Mr. Emmanuel Tembo, who is Ferrier Member of Parliament, to the Minister of Agriculture. And the Minister had actually just finished responding to a follow-up question that was asked by Mr. Paul Chala. And so we do expect the House to continue with the rest of the business that is on the order paper when the business resumes after break. Joe, we take a look at some of the business that has been considered from the time business resumed at 14:30.
Yes, indeed. So when business resumed this afternoon at 14:30 hours, Madam Speaker did make an announcement in which she did inform the House that Royal Hospital will hold a free cardiology health camp for members of Parliament and staff. She said that the exercise aims at promoting heart health through prevention, early detection and treatment to achieve better health outcomes.
Madam Speaker indicated that the camp will be held from Monday 18th to Friday 22nd March 2024 as follows. Monday to Thursday, 09 hours to 16 hours, and Friday, 09 hours to 13 hours. Madam Speaker said the health camp will be held at the main reception area at Parliament buildings.
Thereafter, the Honourable Minister for Agriculture did render a ministerial statement on the electricity situation in Zambia. So we'll be able to give you the details in regards to this particular ministerial statement. In the meantime, stay glued right here on Parliament Television. We take a break and we'll be back very soon.
Chilema will on Friday, 15th March 2024, address the nation on Parliament radio and television on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. Make a date on Friday, 15th March at 10 hours. Zambia joined the rest of the world in commemorating International Women's Day under the theme Invest in Women and Girls, Accelerate Progress. It is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. For National Assembly female parliamentarians, celebrations started in earnest. The United Nations Development Plan, UNDP, invited female parliamentarians to a high-level dialogue dinner with Ms. Ahuna Ziokona, the Assistant Administrator and Director, Regional Bureau for Africa, at the rank of Assistant Secretary General. Absa Bank also held a Women's Month celebration dinner, which saw some women who are making strides in decision-making positions being honored. And to crown it all, Speaker of the National Assembly, the Right Honorable Madam Nelly Muti Fapra, held a breakfast meeting for female parliamentarians at the Speaker's Lodge. Some visiting female Ugandan parliamentarians were also part of the occasion. Madam Speaker emphasized the need for more women participation in politics. She called on female members of parliament to feel free to engage on various issues affecting them.
Let me also be quick to mention that this event will now be an annual one in order for us to meet. So this will be able, we will be able to meet and interact as female members, to bond. You know, bonding is very important, to share experiences, challenges, and opportunities in a more relaxed atmosphere. Your Honor, the Vice President, honorable members, so far I have attended 2 events with Her Honor, the Vice President, and some members of Parliament, organized by the UNDP and also by APSA, respectively. And one takeaway from both events has been that as women, we need to change the narrative that women do not support each other. We all have a responsibility to ensure that we change this narrative. Being politicians, we have our own political persuasions. However, bipartisan matters such as those relating to women issues, we need to rise above them. With the high attrition rate of members of parliament in our parliament, it is my desire that all of us come back to Parliament and also motivate other female politicians to come on board. We need to work together and ensure that we double the 15% of female members of Parliament to 30% in the next Parliament. Let me re-emphasize that as Parliament, we are privileged to have a Speaker, I honor the Vice President, the First Deputy Speaker as women. We need to take advantage of this privilege by ensuring that we enhance the number of female members of Parliament in Parliament, by ensuring that the proportional representation is entrenched in our Constitution.
Her Honor, the Vice President, Mrs. W.K. Mutalena Lumango, shared her political journey and called on women to support each other. She is, however, optimistic that with affirmative action, the Zambian Parliament will have a lot of female parliamentarians.
Echoing everybody here, I was the first female member of Parliament in Kaputa. But this is what is saddening. First. Even in the Parliament I was part to, where she is the only one surviving from that Parliament I was. That was 10, what was 9th Parliament? It was 9th Parliament. You know, where are they? We come and go, and some replaced by men. I have been replaced by men. No other woman again. Are we making enough impact? Did I make enough impact to have another woman, even if it's not me? People can say, a woman can do better. For my situation, no woman has offered herself in that constituency. Because when they get fed up with us, and there is another woman, this is women support women. If your time is running out and there is another woman who is vying, can we support that one? We are the majority in the country, we are the majority voters, and we can have which percentage of women?
15.
Shame. 15%. It's time to hold meetings in our constituencies with women only, so that they can feel what we are saying here. Who will speak for them, colleagues? We have to go and meet women in constituencies. When we visit deliberately, we have women only, so that we tell them nobody will speak for them. We are peculiar people. We are different. We carry humanity. We are the total person. We feel what a man feels as we feel what a woman feels. We feel what a child feels. We feel what a youth feels.
During the breakfast meeting, the female parliamentarians networked and shared their political journeys, stating that it was not easy for them to penetrate the political field, but they defied all odds.
My name's Sylvia Masevo. I'm a member of parliament for Chongwe. I'm sure when you flew from Uganda, the airport is in my constituency. And that's where I've been a member of parliament 3 times. Was it 4 times? 4 times. Now, I've been very active in politics myself. I started I was at a branch member of the branch, chair lady for the branch in Luwa, where I was also a member of the council. I was a councillor. I was also the first female deputy deputy mayor of Lusaka, then became an MP, then lost an election, then became again an MP. I've been a minister of various ministries, local government and housing those days, and arts and tourism. And now what? Now, okay, health then and health now. Health twice. And I think that when you talk of a female politician in Zambia, whenever they will write, when they write their memoirs, I'm sure they will say there was a girl called Sylvia who was a councillor. I was also a member of in fact, I was the first chairperson for the women in politics in Zambia, those days when women started coming out. Yeah, so the challenge that I see is what Her Honor mentioned, that we will not have enough women in Zambia in politics until and unless we have affirmative action, which affirmative action must be constitutionalized.
Having been initiated in the women's movement in my early 20s,
we spoke so much about that. We toy-toyed, as they say in South Africa, toy-toying. We marched, we advocated, we did so many about women at work. Women must get jobs and are sent to managerial positions as well. We talked about, and I'm sure, Madam Speaker, you would recall that, we also talked about women in politics, women at decision-making tables all the way. And so I've grown up in that line of work. Interestingly, without boring you, post-university I worked, my first job was at the Ministry of Labor and Social Services. So that was my first job ever after school. So I've done a 360 degrees back to that place. Give me a clap. Yeah. But I wanted to just bring to your attention that that same advocacy we did, and I recall as my message in my constituency and to the young people of Zambia, for women at work. I did my job at Ministry of Labor and Social Security. I decided after 2 years, determined I'll go and do my master's, and I broke through. It wasn't easy to do that, the decision, blockages, bottlenecks, but I managed to get out and go to study. I came back. I didn't think that I wanted to continue because it's something that I wanted to share somewhere else and not at the ministry. So in a nutshell, I have moved from Ministry of Labor to the women's movement in the YWCA Council of Zambia, and eventually I woke up out of the dream. I was Member of Parliament for Kasempa.
My name is Sheo Mliata, Member of Parliament for Rufunsa and the Provincial Minister for Lusaka Province. I'm also the Vice Chair for our party, UPND, on the provincial level. Now, I want to also tell you that politics in women is a calling. It's a calling. If you have not been called, you will not perform. Because it's a special calling. We are dealing with God's people. And therefore, if you don't have that calling, that's when we miss it out. We think by going to Parliament, maybe I'll make a living, I'll be rich or what. Then we're missing the point. It's a special, special calling. My calling, my father, Mr. Dixon Shacholi, may his soul rest in peace, was my mentor. He was the district chairperson for Chongwe district those days. He worked very well in the UPND. He would always tell me, after me, my girl, it's you. My mother would say, no, I want her to be a lawyer. My dad is so, no. This one must be a member of Parliament. So when I started work at the Bank of Zambia, where I worked for about 29 years, I was very active in the union. Every time the union would go there, try to make a request from management, they would say, where's Sheo Mliata? Let her come. That's me in the auditorium, man. Moto, moto, singing. Yes, singing. So, Kada, indeed. So it was coming up. At the same time, I would make time to go to UPND and do some politics.
Yeah, and it's not easy to be where we stand. We want so much done, but it's not always possible. So to each and every one of you as women, we are very strong women. Please let us continue to hold hands. Let us help each other. Let us support each other in everything that we do. Because when we stand together as women, we can do great wonders. And we'll serve the nation of Zambia with all our hearts, diligently.
We are calling on all of us, and our male counterparts, our Honorable Speakers, always reminded us that affirmative action is very critical. Because the 50-50 presentation, if we do not demand it, and not only us as women, but all the civil society, the church leaders, the traditional leaders, they need to demand it because the population dictates that. We are 51% as women in Zambia. As of 2021, registration, voters registration, it was 53%. So why are we away from what our population is? So I think we are in our right place. Let your name be counted to those who are asking for affirmative action come 2026.
I started off as a councillor under MMD, and when I stood as a councillor, I was the first female councillor since independence in that ward. Oh, then I stood as a member of parliament for Chisamba, and I am the first female member of parliament for Chisamba since independence. I'll leave the rest for you to guess. So I'm serving as the vice chairperson for Reforms and Modernization Committee, and all I can say to all of us is that as women, we need to support each other. Just like the speaker earlier alluded to, it's important that we are always in one accord. We need to support each other, we need to engage each other, and that is the only way that we're going to move forward as a team.
Honorable Joyce Ntwatwa is a Ugandan Member of Parliament. She called on her fellow parliamentarians to support each other. She took time to talk about female representation in the Ugandan Parliament.
As female members of parliament from Uganda, we are very, very delighted and would like to thank you for this opportunity to be part of this breakfast meeting. I'd like to thank our speaker because she's very supportive of women, and I'm very delighted that the speaker here is also very supportive of women. I would like to appeal to women members of parliament to also be supportive of a speaker, because then she makes a number of decisions. If you cannot support her, then you lessen her strength in supporting you. But if you support her as women members of parliament, then she will also be strengthened to support you. If it wasn't for the constitution in Uganda, probably all of us here would not be members of parliament, because to tell you the truth, all the members of parliament who are here are members of parliament in districts. They want for affirmative action, and we take it seriously. Even when you bring a motion on the floor to undermine that affirmative action, all the women will come up in arms, because it is what we have. It is what you should have as well.
The breakfast meeting enabled the female parliamentarians to share their experiences in politics and chart their way forward regarding women in politics and decision-making positions. President Hakainde Hichilema will on Friday, 15th March 2024, address the nation on Parliament radio and television on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. Make a date on Friday, 15th March at 10 hours.
Thank you for still watching Parliament Television. Shortly we will be able to cross back for the live parliamentary proceedings, and under consideration are questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74, and so far the House has considered 4 questions. We do expect the House to consider the 2 remaining questions, that's question 310 and 311. And we must make mention that question 308 did lapse, the member being absent.
So the 2 questions are expected to come from Mr. Yotam Mutachalo, as well as Mr. Mishek Mutelo, who is Mitete constituency member of parliament. He is expected to ask the Minister of Health in 3 parts whether the government has any plans to procure the following Mitete district hospital.
Mr. Speaker.
As you are aware that according to the standard practice, there must be 1/3 members of parliament in order for business to be transacted. So as soon as the quorum is formed, business in the House will resume. So we still have 2 questions to be considered for under questions for oral answers, standing order 74 questions of ordinary nature.
Question 310 is expected to be posed by Mr. Yotam Tachalo, who is chairman of TESNA. We take you to the floor of the House.
Order. When business was suspended, the House had just concluded considering question 309 on the order paper asked by the Honorable Member for Feira. Let's make progress. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Question number 310.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Member for Chama North is asking the Ministry the following questions. When the tarring of Chama Rundas Road will commence, and B, what the time frame for the completion of the project is. We answer as follows, Mr. Speaker. The tarring of the Chama-Rundas Road will be completed when the Treasury secures the required funds for the project. B, the time frame for the completion of the works will only be known once a contractor is engaged for the project. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, we are aware that you engaged RDA to do sport improvement. Are you in a position maybe to assure the people of Chama that probably you can use the same equipment for the road to be just made all-weather gravel? The portion in Chasef where a grader was used, traffic is flowing much faster and much better than the remaining portion. Are you in a position to maybe just make it all-weather gravel while we are waiting for that funding? We'll be able to appreciate as a people of Chama. I submit, Madam Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Member for Chama South, Honorable Mungandu, for the follow-up question. It's a good suggestion. Let me just give a bit more information. The government had initially engaged a contractor to undertake the works on the Chama-Rundas Road. This project was terminated on January 30, 2023 due to funding challenges. The contractor initially engaged was Messrs. China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, Zambia Limited, at the contract sum of 585,556,977 kwacha 51 ngwe, including VAT. The government through, which is the point the Honorable Member for Chama South is making, the government through the Road Development Agency is currently undertaking spot improvement works to ensure that all critical sections of the road are passable. The spot improvement works on the section between Eggy Chicken and the Rundazi, where spot improvement works will resume immediately after the rains. These works have been estimated at 16,400,000 kwacha. The suggestion to go all the way, we'll look at that, and the two honorable members of Parliament are free to continue to engage with us to see how this can be progressed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. for giving me an opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Infrastructure. Honorable Minister, when the people elect us, we come to Parliament here. Our people expect answers, not the same answers which do not give confidence to our people. I believe that the people of Chama cannot continue to live on broken promises. For 27 years, Honorable Minister of UNIP, a lot was said about telling Chama Runda's road, but that never happened. 20 years of the MMD, the same, nothing happened. Until 2012, when we saw the late Mr. Michael Sutton PF telling part of the Chama Runda's road and part of the Chama Matumbo road. So, what is the time frame? What is the time frame? Because, I mean, people need answers. Is it a year from now, 2 years from now? I believe that those are the answers which are going to build confidence in our people. So, can you give us a time frame? Because we are aware that certain areas, roads are being done. So, when are those funds going to be sourced so that the people of Chama can also receive a fair share of the national cake? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, they do demand answers, but they demand truthful answers. And this is what this government is giving. And he's right to state the periods of time that have lapsed in previous administrations without this road being done. The 27 years of UNIP, 20 years of MMD, and the 10 years of PF, which resulted in about 30 kilometers being done. And of course, within Chama district itself, the township roads, which are all tarred. Okay. And when you look at all these periods that have elapsed, I think the new Dawn administration has every right to ask for understanding, so that in the 2.5 years they have been in power, they have elevated these roads to a level where we are seeking funds continuously so that we're able to do it. Our aim as the new Dawn administration is that this road be tarred all the way from Matumbo, the 60 kilometers that remains from Luango Bridge on the Matumbo side, and also the rest of Chamarunda's road. Okay. Because we want it to be a major corridor that links Muchinga to Eastern Province to allow for imports and exports from Nakonde to go directly into Eastern Province and further on into countries like Malawi and Mozambique. It's in the interest of this nation that is done. What is constraining us is the ability within our own resources to have in-house funds for that sort of thing. That is why two things are happening. The spot improvements that have been talked about is to ensure that traffic can flow, and we shall look at what is needed to do a bit more. Number two, the bridge at Kampemba, as the Honourable Member knows, that has been worked on. Three, we are actively engaged with the potential concessionaires to undertake the whole of that project under a PPP arrangement. Because in our view, even though the traffic volumes are low now, but if the road was in place, there would be a massive increase in the traffic volumes on that road. So bear with us when you continuously compare and say roads are being done elsewhere. Maybe it's always necessary to state where you think roads are being done. The ones that are being done, these are being done under PPP. which means private investors are the ones who are doing that sort of thing. When we reach a stage where we have our own resources, no part of this country will be left behind. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that response. Honourable Minister, much as we appreciate the private-public partnership model, I believe that if we concentrate on this particular issue, we may find that we may not do a lot of roads in this country. Maybe just supporting what Honourable Mngando has said. While we are waiting for resources, I think the people of Chama want a road which is passable. Honourable Minister, we passed through that road. It's now taking 6-7 hours to drive from Lundazi to Chama. But at one time, during President Mwanawasa, that road was graded, was by Sebo. It used to take 2 hours. So why can't we find a contractor? RDA, we appreciate the works RDA is doing, but I believe that RDA should supervise contractors, not RDA doing these works. That's why we're having challenges on Chama Matumbo, we have a problem, RDA, Chama Rundazi, we have a problem. So we want to ask you, Honourable Minister, why don't we find a contractor to work on that road and RDA supervises? I believe that route will help the people of Chama. I submit. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member for Chairman North is always very passionate about the constituency he represents and the people he represents, and that is commendable. But from where we sit here on the government side, it's a question of resources. Until such time as we can deal with the issue of debt, which was left by our predecessors, it is not possible to look merely within ourselves in terms of resources. The economy of this country is still very small. This new Dawn administration is doing everything possible to grow this economy, and we are going to do that. In the meantime, we do what is possible. If you look at the amounts that I've given in terms of the sport improvements that we have we are doing, the 16.4 million kwacha. These are relatively small amounts, such that to give it to a contractor to undertake the full length of the Chama Rundazi, this amount pales into insignificance in terms of the total amount required. The Honourable Member and I as Minister continuously engage on this road. So there is nothing for us to hide. It is also our priority. It is our priority. The whole of Lundazi Chama Road, a number of things required to be done. A number of bridges are too low. Whoever did them many years ago left them too low. So when we have flooding situations, some of them get flooded and so on. So we are aware of these particular problems. But in terms of the number of hours it takes, yes, we do not wish that on anybody. But many of the members you see here, they can also talk about specific roads in their areas where similar hours are spent on traversing sections of roads in the constituencies. That is the state of the infrastructure that this government inherited from the party that you represent. We are doing everything to correct. Give us time, we shall do that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next question, the Honourable Member for Mitete.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to first congratulate the Right Honourable Madam Nelly Butete Muti, Speaker of National Assembly, and Jack Mwimbo to have retained the status of State Council. Mr. Speaker, question number 311.
Your congratulations are accepted on behalf of the Speaker. The Honorable Member, the Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Mutelo, Member of Parliament for Mitete, is asking the Minister of Health whether the government has any plans to procure the following for Mitete District Hospital: an ambulance and a motorized boat. If so, when the plans will be implemented? If there are no such plans, why? Mr. Speaker, government has plans to procure ambulances and motorized boats, not only for Mitete District Hospital, but for all our public health facilities countrywide that will require ambulances and motorized boats. The House may wish to note that due to limited fiscal space, the procurement of ambulances and motorized boats for public health facilities countrywide is being implemented in a phased approach. Mr. Speaker, government through the Ministry of Health has already commenced the procurement of ambulances, with the first phase consisting of 60 basic life support ambulances. The procurement process is currently at the evaluation stage. In addition, the House may wish to note that 156 ambulances under the CDF intervention have been earmarked for procurement, and these will be distributed to all the constituencies in the country. Similarly, Madam Speaker, government intends to procure motorized boats in a phased approach, and in this regard, government through the Ministry of Health has completed the revision of the technical specifications in order to procure cost-effective boats for deep water and swampy areas. Regards C, Mr. Speaker, as stated earlier, government has plans to procure ambulances and motorized boats for public health facilities. Therefore, part C of the question falls off. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
The Honorable Member for Mitete.
Grateful to you, Mr. Speaker and Minister. Thank you so much for the answer given. Is Mitete amongst the 60 being procured or in the first phase? Is Mitete there? Mr. Speaker, the Minister might be aware that we depend to transport on referral patients from as far as Washishi, 215 kilometers, Skunduko, 130 kilometers, to Lukulu. Hence the need for the ambulance. Is Mitete found in the first phase? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister, I don't know whether you'll be able, you can comment.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up questions. It is true, Mr. Speaker, that Mitete District faces challenges in provision of referral services, as it does not have a first-level hospital. This is one of those districts, and every time I talk about Western Province, because I've been there, and I've said that we have big issues in Western Province in terms of a health service. Mitete has no maternity wings, but the good news is that currently there are 6 maternity wings under construction. Mitete has not had
enough workforce, but again, we're happy that under the new dawn, we are improving in human resource in Mitete. Mitete district does not even have running water in any of the health centers in the district. That's how bad Mitete is. And so we are taking deliberate steps as government to ensure that Mitete, by end of our term, will be one of the districts that the MP will be able to celebrate. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Mitete.
Grateful. Like you've heard it from the minister, if need was, tears were going to be rolling down. But allow me to appreciate the mini hospital minister. Yes, Mr. Speaker, the maternity wing under CDF coming up. I have not heard in the immediate as to what we can be using now, because what we have is a wreck now. Any vehicle, Minister, that can be of help now, as we are waiting for CDF, as we are waiting also for what you are procuring in the immediate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
The Honourable Member of Parliament may do well to come through to the ministry through the Provincial Health Director for Western Province on those administrative, what I call administrative solutions to immediate problems. Thank you.
The Acting Leader of Government Business Adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
I beg to move that the House do now adjourn. The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House? Is now adjourned.
Thank you for still watching Parliament Television. The House has just adjourned. We now take a look at business that has been considered today from the time business resumed at 14:30. When business resumed, Madam Speaker did make an announcement in which she informed the House that Royal Hospital will hold a free cardiology health camp for members of Parliament and staff. The exercise aims at promoting heart health through prevention, early detection, and treatment to achieve better health outcomes.
So the camp will be held from Monday 18th to Friday the 2nd March 2024 as follows. Monday to Thursday, 09 hours to 16 hours, and Friday, 09 hours to 13 hours. The health camp will be held at the main reception area at Parliament Main Buildings.
Thereafter, the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Kapala, did render a ministerial statement. The ministerial statement was on the electricity situation in Zambia. The Minister did state on the planned load management, in which he said this has been caused by mainly forecasted insufficient generation capacity due to reduced water levels in the major river reservoirs following below normal rainfall patterns experienced during the 2023 to 2024 season due to the El Nino drought phenomenon. This is also attributed to increased demand, which has been growing at about 150 to 200 megawatts per annum.
So yes, indeed, the minister did state that the Kariba North Bank power plant depends on water from the Kariba Dam Lake Reservoir for its generation. For the year 2024, only 80 billion cubic meters has been allocated to Zambia for power generation due to the forecasted low rainfall pattern.
In addition, the minister did state that there has been a marked reduction in the level of rainfall received on the Kafue River Basin in the 2023 to 2024 rainy season.
So the minister did say that this will further lead to constrained generation from the cascaded power plants on the Kafue River basin, that is 120 megawatt Iteshteje hydropower plant, the 990 megawatt Kafue Gorge power station, and the 750 megawatt Kafue Gorge lower power station.
He further stated that it was worth noting that the forecasted reduction in the water levels due to the El Nino drought, characterized by the reduction in hydropower generation and the growing electricity demand, will result in power deficit of about 430 megawatts.
So the minister added that in implementing the load management program, ZESCO has been directed to consider that the vital role played by strategic institutions such as health facilities, water utilities, industry and mining firms and security wings.
The minister went on to give the short-term measures that have been put in place, and these include that ZESCO is currently importing between 50 megawatts to 90 megawatts between 21 hours and 05 hours, and is actively engaged in negotiations with Mozambique for an increase in firm power imports for an additional 120 megawatts.
He stated that ZESCO plans to gradually withdraw 120 megawatts from the export market, taking into consideration the current bilateral contracts.
He also stated that Ndola Energy Power Plant has a capacity of 105 megawatts. Currently, ZESCO and Ndola Energy Company Limited are undertaking negotiations with a view of restarting the power plant.
He said that the government through ZESCO is developing 100 megawatts solar PV power plant in Kabwe.
And so those are just some of the short-term measures that have been put in place, and the minister went on to give on the medium-term projects, and these include renewable energy expansion, which is a 120 megawatt solar PV portfolio, implementation of a 120 megawatt portfolio of solar PV power projects under the Global Energy Transfer Feed in Tariff Program.
Others include the Luapula CX hydropower project, progressing with development of the 271 megawatt Luapula CX hydropower project on the Luapula River.
And the other one also includes Lusiwasi Lower Hydropower Project, development of the 86 megawatt Lusiwasi Lower Hydropower Project.
The 2,000 megawatt solar PV project, ZESCO is collaborating with Mazda on a 2,000 megawatt solar PV project.
The minister did encourage consumers to consider transitioning to alternative energy resources such as gas stoves, solar water heaters, and the adoption of efficient energy equipment such as energy efficient bulbs to reduce on power consumption. So those are the details of the ministerial statement that was rendered by the Minister of Energy. We now move on, Joe, to the other business that was considered on the floor of the House.
So the House did consider the motion which was moved by our Honour the Vice President, that are standing orders 26, 27, 51 and 80 over the National Assembly of Zambia standing orders 2021 be suspended to enable the House to sit from 09 hours until business has been concluded on Friday, 15th March 2024, and also to omit the Vice President's question time from the order paper. So this motion was adopted.
And thereafter, the House went on to consider questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74, and we did see the House consider 6 questions. One question did lapse, that is question 308, the member being absent. We now take a look at some of the questions.
So question 1305 came from Mr. Jeffrey Mulewa, Kafulafuta Member of Parliament, who did direct his question to the Minister of Transport and Logistics. He wanted to find out what measures the government intends to implement to address the escalating road traffic accidents reported to be at 9,888 as of third quarter of 2023 countrywide, and be what are the major causes over the accident were. So in responding, the minister stated that government through Road Transport and Safety Agency is implementing measures to address the problem, which include scaling up road traffic law enforcement through combined joint motorized road patrols between RATSA and the Zambia Police Service. Other measures include scaling up the use of ICT in traffic law enforcement, scaling up of broad education and sensitization programs. So in responding to part B of the question, so the minister did say that some of the causes include human error and bad road use behavior, overspeeding, misjudging of clearance distance, failure to keep to the near side, and failure to follow road signs.
We also had question 306, which was posed by Mr. Lakson Lungu, who is Kapoche Member of Parliament. He did ask the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts, in A, whether the government has any plans to construct a recreation center in Kapoche parliamentary constituency. The minister did respond that government has no plans in part B. If so, when the plans will be implemented. This question did fall off, as the minister had indicated in A that government has no plans. And in part C, if there are no such plans, why? The minister did respond that government is currently concentrating on rehabilitating the Heroes and Mwanawasa Stadium and some of the sports facilities in provincial centers.
So Mr. Herbert Mapani, the Mwala Member of Parliament, did direct his question to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. He wanted to find out whether government has any plans to construct an embankment between Namwala Town and Kafue River in Namwala district to prevent flooding. If so, when the plans will be implemented, see what the estimated cost of the project is, and if there are no such plans, why. So in responding, the minister did say that yes, the government has plans to construct an embankment between Namwala Town and the Kafue River in Namwala district to prevent flooding. And the minister did say that this will be done once funds are secured. In responding to part C over the question, the minister did say that more than 1 million kwacha is the estimated cost of the project.
And question 310 did come from Mr. Yota Mutachalo, who is Chama North Member of Parliament. He did ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development in A, when the tarring of Chama Lundazi Road will commence. The minister did respond that the tarring of this road will commence once Treasury secures funds. And in B, what the time frame of the completion of the project is, the minister did respond that once a contractor is engaged, that's only when the time frame of the project can be determined. And so those are some of the questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74 that were considered. And on behalf of Joe Bunda Katama and sign language interpreters, that's Jason Manda and Shola Kauma, and the entire production crew, pleasant viewing. Continue watching Parliament Television.
President Hakainde Hichilema will on Friday, 15th March 2024, address the nation on Parliament Radio. President Hakainde Hichilema will on Friday, 15th March 2024, address the nation on Parliament Radio and television on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. Make a date on Friday, 15th March at 10 hours.
Since her election as the first female Speaker of the National Assembly of Zambia on 3rd September 2021, the Right Honourable Madam Nelly Muti MP presided over the busiest period on the parliamentary calendar. The ceremonial opening of a new parliament and the national budget all took place during the September-December sitting. Therefore, in line with her duty as new head of the legislative arm of government, she has lined up a program which will see her and her two deputy speakers undertake familiarization tours to all the 156 constituencies across Zambia within the life of the 13th National Assembly. The constituency offices were established between 2003 and 2006 with a view to improve the member-constituency relationship by increasing the frequency and quality of interaction between the Member of Parliament and the people. The Right Honourable Madam Muti undertook her maiden familiarization tour of some selected constituency offices in Western Province. She visited 11 of the 19 constituencies in Western Province. She was accompanied by Mr. Roy Ngulube, Deputy Clerk in charge of administration, some heads of department and senior members of staff of the National Assembly. The Honourable Madam Muti arrived in Mongo aboard a Zambia Air Force plane and was met by the Western Province Minister, Honourable Kapirwa Mbangweta MP, some Western Province Members of Parliament, His Worship the Mayor of Mongo, Mr. Matakalanyambe, and heads of government departments in Mongo. Some heads of department at the National Assembly were also at hand to meet the Speaker when she arrived at Mongo Airport. The Honourable Madam Speaker briefed the press on her reason for the visit to Western Province and disclosed her vision for the National Assembly during her tenure of office.
As you may be aware, the legislative arm of the government is the most devolved two constituencies at the current moment. We have a presence in all the 156 constituencies, and having taken office, it is my wish that I go out and familiarize myself with the work and operations of these constituency offices. And with the enhanced CDF, which is now 25.7, that has been allocated to constituency offices, it is my expectation that the constituency offices will take center stage in the implementation of the CDF projects, while citizens take center stage in enhancing accountability for the funds that are going to be allocated to the constituency offices. And also, as a way looking forward, for me, my overall overview is that constituency offices now will be key in the implementation of CDF projects, and citizens now have taken active participation in ensuring that there is accountability in the implementation of the CDF projects, and also to ensure that the dissemination of information both from the members of parliament and also to the members of the public, we work together to enhance democracy and also to be an epitome of good democracy and good governance. So that's why we are here.
The Honourable Madam Speaker's entourage then proceeded to the Provincial Administration Office, where she had a brief meeting with the Provincial Minister, Honourable Kapirwa Mbangweta MP. The Speaker then proceeded to Limulunga Palace to pay a courtesy call on His Majesty the Litunga of Barosland, King Luhosi Imwiko II. After the courtesy call, the Honourable Madam Speaker's first stop was a visit to Luena Constituency Office, which is located within Limulunga District. She met with the Honourable Member of Parliament for Luena, Mr. Mubita Anakoka MP, and the constituency office staff. The Member of Parliament and his staff briefed the Honourable Madam Speaker on the operations and the challenges that the office is faced with.
We try our level best to encourage people to make use of this office so that any information they require about Parliament activities, they can find them here. But when you don't have a library section and things like that, it means they don't really find anything when they come. Sure. So we hope maybe with the changes that have taken place, our offices can be equipped a little bit more in terms of facilities and also manpower. I think the responsibilities of this office are now many. It started with the professional assistant only and an AA, so there are only 2 people working in the office. But to support a Member of Parliament, since we don't have researchers in Lusaka at an individual level as MPs, it means we rely on our officers here to also put some information together for us. So maybe that matter can also be looked into to beef our support systems also.
The Honourable Madam Speaker's next stop was Mongu Parliamentary Office, at which she was met with the area Member of Parliament, Dr. Oliver Amutike MP, and the constituency staff.
We don't have a permanent office here. This is a rented property. It's rented from NAPSA. So it's one of the challenges because we'd like to have a permanent office. And it's the usual challenges where they need space for a library, for information management, because a lot of people are coming. They've heard a lot about the CDF, especially the increased CDF has attracted a lot of people to be visiting the office. So the people are coming here, they want a space to sit and read all those things, but all they have is a bookshelf with a few copies there. So I think that's an area where we need to look into us. The general furniture and the office equipment, they don't even have a printer. Sometimes we do send very sensitive information here, and they have to go and get it printed in town. So the information then it gets exposed to the public.
The next day, Madam Speaker visited Sesheke Parliamentary Office and was met on arrival by the area Member of Parliament, Mr. Romeo Kangombe MP, and other senior heads of government departments in Sesheke district. The Honourable Speaker later visited one of the Constituency Development Fund's CDF funded projects at Yeta Community School in Sesheke constituency.
Good morning, madam.
You can sit down.
Thank you, madam.
Bye-bye. What the best, eh?
Firstly, we are not just lucky as the current suite of members of parliament, but I would say we are blessed, because as you can see, that project that is being done from a 1.6 million CDF allocation. But we are happy now that the new donor administration has increased the CDF to 27 million, which is a 1,500% increment. So with that kind of resource, we will be able now to attend to problems like the people here are facing at Inyamboyeta. It's an initiative that the people here, through us civic leaders, came up together to come up with a community classroom, which fortunately now has been adopted by the government. And I can rest assure you, in the next 5 years, if all of us are going to be kept among the living, we will see change in this area.
The delegation then proceeded to Sioma constituency and was met on arrival by the area Member of Parliament, Mr. Mandandi Kalie, senior heads of government departments and staff of the constituency office.
You are welcome to Sioma district, Sioma constituency, and in particular now at the constituency office, which is your office. We are so humbled, Madam Speaker, to host you. This is a rare privilege and honor to host the head of the legislature in the whole country. in this poor village. We are so elated, and that we hope that your visitation to this town, to this village, to this office will help you to have an insight of the operations at this office.
It's a pleasure to come, and we've come basically to make a follow-up, to interact with the members of staff as the facilitators of the constituency office, and the Honorable Member of Parliament as the torchbearer of our office as in the constituency office. And also just the members of the public, because they are our stakeholders. And also in view of the enhanced constituency fund, which has been increased by 1,500%, we thought it's important that constituency officers take a big role in ensuring that they participate, and also the citizens also take an interest, because it's through them that the accountability issues can be addressed.
The Honorable Madam Speaker continued on her tour of duty with the next stop at the Senanga Parliamentary Constituency Office. In Senanga, she was met by the area Member of Parliament, Mr. Walusa Mulaliki, and senior heads of government departments in the district, as well as the constituency office staff.
I'm glad that you are coming to Senanga on your maiden visit as the Speaker of the National Assembly. It's a rare privilege for us in Senanga to receive you here. I think it could be, if not the first time, that a sitting Speaker of the National Assembly has visited this particular constituency in this fashion. We are glad that coming forth, you'll be able to appreciate and understand the challenges we are facing. We have received the goodwill from the council. There is a piece of land which they are willing to give us for us to construct office space.
Basically, what we have come for is a familiarization tour. We are going to conduct a familiarization tour, and like we are doing now, and we are going to visit all constituency offices, the 156 constituencies. As you know, the legislature is the only arm of the government for now, which has devolved to every constituency. And it's good to have offices in the air, but we need to have a physical touch and contact with the offices, so that we see what they are performing, what contributions are they making to the work of the legislature.
While in Senanga, the Honorable Madam Speaker visited a CDF-funded project at Senanga Correctional Facility. The Honorable Madam Speaker paid a courtesy call on another traditional leader, and this time it was the Litunga Lamboera, Her Majesty Mbuyu Imwiko of Nalolo District. In the pursuing days, Madam Speaker proceeded to visit Nalolo Constituency Office, where she interacted with the Member of Parliament, Mr. Imanga Wamunyima MP, and staff at the office.
Madam Speaker, you'd like to know that Nalolo constituency is the constituency that produced the first female Member of Parliament by the name of Dr. Mainga. It is a special constituency, and it also produced the first female Vice President. So in this regard, I think on behalf of the constituency office, we also congratulate you once again for being elected decisively as the first female Speaker of the National Assembly. Our constituency office is humbled and honored to have you with your delegation, and we hope that this visit will also bring to light that despite having such a beautiful office, we do have challenges as well.
We've been to a number of offices so far, and this is the very first office that we are coming to, which has been constructed by National Assembly, the ones that we are saying are standardized. It is my hope that constituency offices will now take a center stage in the dissemination and receiving of concerns by the citizens. So we want to have a two-way street whereby National Assembly reaches out to the people, and also the people reach out to National Assembly through their Member of Parliament. So we'll interact with the members of staff who are the facilitators for the projects that are undertaken by the Constituency Fund, and also the MP who is the torchbearer. Just as a matter of emphasis, we want to emphasize that constituent offices are for the people of Zambia. It's not a political office. It's open to all Zambians, regardless of the political affiliation that they belong to. And also that the members of staff that are working here, they are professional staff who are engaged just like the members of staff at National Assembly.
The next stop for the Honorable Madam Speaker was Liwa Constituency Office, which is located at Kalabo Boma. The Speaker met with the area Member of Parliament, Honorable Stumbeko Msokotwane MP, who is also Minister of Finance and National Planning. The entourage thereafter proceeded to Kalabo Central Constituency Office and were received by the area